Anti-Afro Svengalis, will the real probation violator stand up? Both are in Georgia, one in Fulton County, one in Newton County. Between the two, who is the real probation violator? Well, the judge has decided most certainly it's not Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug. Now, from the victim side of things, it's certainly very clear that Fani Willis and the DA investigator were threatened. Crime was committed. It's not tolerable. It needs to be addressed. Whoever made these threats, they need to be tracked down and they need to be prosecuted. But here's the issue. Before the motion was even submitted, there was a problem. Fani Willis is the district attorney, the DA, investigator. They're working in the same office where Young Thug was prosecuted, and they're victims. This would not be the appropriate agency to deal with this. What is the reason that Fani Willis did not seek assistance from another law enforcement agency? Because when I read this motion, there was no reference to contacted whatever agency, the GBI, the state's attorney's office, the attorney general, report number, whichever it is, spoke to officer or investigator, whoever it is, contacted the FBI. No other law enforcement agency is referenced. The document never should have been submitted by Fani Willis. There's a conflict of interest. What are you going to do? Prosecute Jeffrey Williams if he in fact did do this? But you have someone else over here named Laquan Fisher, by comparison, who actually did violate probation. It's a different district. Why don't you go and find out what's happening over in Newton County and see what they're doing over there? Who knows? They may be getting things done in Newton County. But in that situation, you had somebody who was directly participating in the act. Here with Jeffrey Williams, he wasn't participating in any act other than to share a message that he got. He didn't make any of the statements. But she's after Jeffrey Williams, Young Thug. Fani Willis did not seek any consultation with any law enforcement agency because she knew what she was going to hear or feared what she was going to hear. There is no criminal act that has been even suspected on the part of Young Thug. In some states, you can't even submit a probation revocation motion unless the person has been arrested, unless there's a warrant for their arrest, unless the DA has already filed charges, or they state in the paper or the motion that they are going to file charges. The proper document to file, if she believed he did violate probation, would have been a notice of a probation violation. It wouldn't be revocation of probation. This is ridiculous. If she suspected he did something, you wouldn't automatically submit a revocation of probation violation on something like this. Again, it should have never come from her office. Another agency should have been involved, but they would have told her this is a no-go. If there was true concern about the probation being violated, there would have been a call placed to the probation department. An attorney could have contacted the probation department. Doesn't Fani Willis have a bunch of attorneys? I'm putting aside for the second that the case shouldn't even be there as far as this probation violation and the victims who have been identified. But doesn't she have these hotshot lawyers? What's happening with the lawyers not contacting someone in the probation department, the probation officer, and alerting them? Because she's out for revenge. She wants to find a way to send Jeffrey Williams to actual prison. That is the reason why she filed the document from her office and had no one else from any other law enforcement agency to file those documents. Now, let's talk about Rage Pigs Laquan Fisher. How many times has he come up in these YouTube streets and off YouTube harassing people's families? People on probation are not supposed to be harassing people's families. People on probation are not supposed to be running up and down the YouTube streets threatening people. People on probation are not supposed to be slandering people. Now, when I say slandering, slandering is a civil issue, but it's still coming under another type of probation violation. Not every probation violation is a crime. You do not have to commit a crime to get a probation violation, but at least you yourself have to be participating in some way that's direct and significant, not just simply passing a message. Unless you're saying, hey, look at this message, everybody. Look at what they're saying. It's an illegal act and let's do it. Just simply passing a message is not going to work. But Rage Pigs was running around here conspiring with people, stealing Social Security numbers and passing it around, passing personal information of others behind the scenes. He was doing a whole host of bullshit, and his name appeared on a document of a probation officer who got fired. He's associating with known felons and known criminals. Now, if Fani Willis had this dossier of Rage Pigs, she would have been in pig mud heaven. Wouldn't she love to have had the dossier of Rage Pigs instead of what she had with Jeffrey Williams, which was nothing. It didn't do anything. She's desperate. It's so obvious. She shouldn't be filing any probation violations on Jeffrey Williams if he's doing something to those in her office. It should be handled by someone else. But here's the big question. The people who actually perpetrated the crimes, because they are crimes. If you're threatening to delete somebody, they're threatening to delete her. She needs to get another agency involved and need to find out who the hell is doing this. Is this going to happen? Let's wait and see. If it doesn't happen, we know she's full of shit. That she doesn't care. She only cares about getting him. Whether it's actually violating the law or not. It's pretty embarrassing when the judge didn't even give her a hearing. I believe she would have been satisfied just the same to have a hearing, to drag him into court, to make him suffer, to say, look what I plan to do to you. I'm going to continue to be on your neck. I believe she would have been satisfied with that. I mean, of course she was going for the gusto, but I think the hearing would have been sufficient. She's got to try to find a way to win somehow. Now, somebody was saying, oh, he should never have taken that plea deal. I think it was an attorney or a judge. I think she identified herself as a judge. I'm like, a judge? I'll have to go back and confirm, like a judge of what? I mean, that would be odd if she's actually a judge, maybe a former judge. Young Thug was the first one to be in a position to get, I guess you call it the sweetheart deal. The acquittals did not come until after him. 2 of his co-defendants were acquitted, and I think one got like a gun charge. So people are saying he should never have taken the deal. He took the deal. That's the situation. But if you're going to send someone to prison, send them to prison because they actually did something. Everyone knows I have absolutely no qualms about contacting law enforcement. If you commit a crime, you're doing something that's putting people in danger, you're harassing people, anything that people suspect that's a law violation and they're involved or they observe it, they have every right to call the police. But trying to get folks locked up in jail and prison for shit they didn't do, or we have somebody in and around the Umar Johnson sector that acts like that. Yeah, the fired teacher from Tucker High School would love to see a black man put up in a jail cell for something he didn't do. And she's content with this. Fani Willis is actually content with doing this. Yes, we know it was distressing to be threatened with violence, but what's the reason you don't want the actual person who made the statement tracked down and arrested? Or the other people who were putting the names and addresses of the DA investigator and her family, is that actually a crime? They have to look into all of these messages. Get an investigation going the proper way. You don't do a knee-jerk probation revocation motion. This is a waste of resources, a waste of the court's time. It was never going to fly. He didn't type the messages. But again, she can head on down to Newton County and see what it's like when somebody racks up probation violations. Running around with convicted felons, convicted murder, he's not supposed to be doing that. There are a lot of things he's not supposed to be doing. It. I have no idea what Rage Pigs is up to, but it is suspicious that he says he's leaving for 2 months. Don't know. We haven't put elbow grease into it. But here's the advantage. When somebody is running around doing all this shit and they're on probation, they think they're not going to get in trouble. By the time they get caught, watch and see how pissed off the judge is going to be. Why in the hell did this go on for this long without somebody doing something? Now, when Fani Willis filed that motion, keep in mind, folks, anybody who's on the receiving end of harassment, a crime, even if you're not sure, you can get an attorney and file a motion also. Nobody's going to stop you. You can get a hearing as well. So Rage Pigs can continue to do this bullshit. He's going to wake up one day and find himself with a court hearing from somebody in these YouTube streets. If they don't handle their business, the more nothing happens, the more a lot is going to happen when it does. Now, what's happening now, I have no idea. Like I said, elbow grease has not been put into researching the real reason he decides he's going to leave for, quote, 2 months. Who knows? But one thing is for sure, we're not kissing off what was done. There actually was some other movement along the lines with probation and Rage Pigs, but I'm not going to get into that. The situation is not over. It is not over. There's an unredacted report that went over to Post, recognizing that he's on probation. I'm not going to kiss that off. We're not going to let them kiss it off. No, we're not white women, but we're going to act like we white women when it comes to getting our rights. Just because that woman is white, that's why Fani Willis believes she can get some leverage. I don't give a damn. We're going to get the same amount of attention that this woman is getting because she's white. We're going to get the same damn thing. They already listened to us multiple times before. They'll listen to us again. We're not going to be denied and treated any differently. They are going to assist us in the way we need to be assisted. I don't care if it takes longer. It's going to happen. We are not going to stop. We don't have to check in and get permission or get approval or beg whoever to like us, and whoever doesn't like the fact that, oh my God, this should be a roasting sector and nobody should do anything other than roast. That's mighty funny coming from someone who's running around calling black men child molesters and trying to get them locked up for not committing any crime. No, this is not a freaking roasting sector. You step your funky asses out of line, we're going to report you to whatever agency we can find. There is a long list of agencies that these subjects can be reported to. And Georgia is a hotbed. You got a governor who doesn't like rogue public servants, who doesn't like probation officers who don't do their job, and I'm going to take full and total advantage of that fact. I am going to snake all the way up to the governor's office, and along the way, if someone is not going to do their job and hold these probationers accountable, he's going to have something to say about it by the time he gets to his desk. Listen, I'm patient. What's the hurry? It's to our advantage because in the meantime, they're going to keep racking up bullshit and documentation that's only going to build our case stronger. And when I say us and our, it's whoever is on that route. You're on that route if you're willing to sign your name, if you're willing to be interviewed, if you're willing to take an oath, if you're not going to care if someone knows who you are when you file your complaint. You can get up here and talk tough all day long. Are you willing to file a complaint and say your name? That makes all the difference because these days, less and less anonymous complaints are being accepted. Obviously, there are exceptions. If there is a critical emergency, it's more important to get help to the situation versus someone trying to find out who the hell you are. I'm talking about situations that are going to be addressed by a decision making body, misconduct, violating regulations, violating social media policies, violating the regulations of the professions that governs what you do 24/7. It's true if you don't want to be responsible and uphold the principles like the organization or your certificate or your license states, turn it in, relinquish it. The ruling bodies have jurisdiction. Yes, those with licenses and certificates can whine and cry about my free speech, but courts have ruled over and over again when you have a certificate, a license, when you're a public servant, the standards, the expectations are higher than the general public, and you will be held to that standard. If you cannot deal with that, relinquish the certificate. But then again, you have employers who have put their foot down, and they have been backed up by the courts. Employers have a right to set expectations for their employees. While people can't punish you for your political beliefs, strictly political beliefs, they can take action against people who make their company look bad, even if you're off the clock. They don't want to be associated with a bigot. They don't have to maintain your employment. They have a right to fire you. So you can keep running your mouths. Keep doing what you're doing. But fully expect consequences if and when you cross the line, whether you have a license or not. See, they're so invested in harassing others. That's the thing. They're not unto themselves dealing with each other and they're off to the side. No, they are venturing out. They're going into spaces. We're not going into their space. They're coming into our space. They're making up all these fake names, these accounts, these phantom accounts going all over. They're continuing to level these slanderous statements and taking down their content. They know what they're doing. Then they're trying to hide by going on these other platforms thinking we don't know what they're saying. Yes, people are capturing the bullshit. They're the ones engaging in the harassment and the conduct that's actionable. And they're pissed because we are not replicating their conduct. There's nothing they can do to us because we're not doing what they're doing. They are the aggressors. They can whine, they can cry all they want. They will not dictate our behaviors. If these subjects find it so intolerable, they're the ones that can leave social media because they're the ones who are violating social media policy. They're violating YouTube policy with their bigotry, with their sexual harassment, with their threats of violence. We're not doing any such thing. And besides, they don't run any social media platform and aren't in any position to tell anybody what the hell to do, where to go, or what to say, as long as it's within the guidelines of the domain that they're participating in. They fall outside the domain. This is why they keep snatching down content, thinking snatching down content is something that hasn't already been captured or can't be obtained through a subpoena, through a court order. If you post it on YouTube, it can be retrieved. They don't even think about that. Obviously, they have something to hide. And even, let's say they're not working. Eventually, they're going to continue to cross different lines. And as you cross different lines, the consequences will become more severe. Eventually, they start engaging in actual criminal conduct. It doesn't matter what level of income that you have, your assets can still be taken to court and you can be sued and you can still be held liable. Being sued has got nothing to do with how much money you have. You can still have a judgment hanging over your head. It's the principle. I wouldn't give a damn if I decided to do that. I would do that. But I won't do that in most instances because I have so many other options. If they thought they were so confident in being able to secure any judgment, they would have done it. They know they would have to commit slander in those court documents like Catherine Brown did, and I so hope she would file another document on us because that's when we're going to go for the gusto and prove all of the lies she put in that federal document. Go for it. Go ahead and get your Catherine Brown on and put a bunch of information in a document that she can't prove that are outright lies. Not a single piece of evidence she could produce to back any of that shit up, which is why we were never concerned. We're not concerned about any of these subjects out here who claim whatever they claim. We're the ones with the evidence. They're the ones who are the aggressors and the perpetrators of these crimes and these actionable conduct. And we are going to take action when we decide to take action. No one's going to tell us what we should or shouldn't do, and certainly not going to guilt us. If you got a problem with it, get your ass off the internet or off YouTube because you're the ones that are going to be in trouble. We're not going to take orders from those who are harassing us. Are you serious? What kind of shit is this? We're not on your slave plantation. We don't have to listen to you, and we're not going to listen to you. Obviously, this Fani Willis routine didn't work as a DA. It's not working up in YouTube. You're not going to be able to get someone in a jail cell because you want them in a jail cell on a temper tantrum. You can try it, but it's more and more unlikely to happen. Too many folks are watching these days. Listen, folks, as you know, I always got more coming your way. In the meantime, you know the drill. Buyer beware.